Ron DeSantis, that guy, he's going to be a major force in 2024. I can see him running for the presidency because he's establishing a platform now, a very conservative platform, and he's fighting back. He's fighting back to what the socialist agenda, this one world order agenda, is coming across with. And, Governor DeSantis down in Florida, he's the governor of Florida. What he's done is he suspended one of those George Soros appointed attorneys. They have these district attorneys and these attorney generals, depending on which state you're in, they're called one or the other. Prosecutors is what they're called in the state of Ohio. But they had a prosecuting attorney who's down in the Tampa area. And do you know he said that certain crimes he's not going to prosecute? Yeah. He doesn't have the authority to pick and choose. Yeah, he has prosecutorial discretion on what crimes to charge a person with. If there's the facts before the grand jury that says, there's been a crime committed against the people of a certain state, yeah, he has discretion in that factor, but he does not have the right not to enforce the laws of the state. That's called corruption. For you to sit there and say, no, I'm not going to prosecute the laws of the state, you're in dereliction of your sworn duty. Your sworn duty. Because that's what happens. You still have to be sworn in the United States when you take office. And part of what you're swearing is that you will uphold the Constitution of the United States and the laws of the state or the federal government, whichever one you happen to be in, as you take that office. But Andrew Warren, he's the prosecutor down there in Florida. And thank goodness for guys like Governor DeSantis, who said, you know what? This guy doesn't want to do his job. Well, we're going to get him out of here. So what did he do? Governor DeSantis said, deuces. See you when we see you, but you don't got this job no more. And this is from the Daily Wire. Governor DeSantis suspends liberal attorney for failing to enforce the laws on abortion, trans surgeries for minors. This was a couple of days ago. Governor Ron DeSantis announced Thursday that effective immediately, he is suspending liberal state attorney Andrew Warren for refusing to uphold the state's laws. State attorneys have a duty to prosecute crimes as defined in Florida law, not to pick and choose which laws to enforce based on his personal agenda, DeSantis said in a statement. It is my duty to hold Florida's elected officials to the highest standards for the people of Florida. I have the utmost trust that Judge Susan Lopez will lead the office through this transition and faithfully uphold the rule of law. Let's listen to what DeSantis himself had to say. It was pretty interesting. We got the news conference of him when he was making this announcement. And it was very interesting. So let's listen up to what he had to say.
Our government is a government of laws, not a government of men. And what that means is that we govern ourselves based on a constitutional system and based on the rule of law. But yet we've seen across this country over the last few years, individual prosecutors take it upon themselves to determine which laws they like and will enforce and which laws they don't like and then don't enforce. And the results of this in cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco have been catastrophic. You could go in San Francisco and steal a certain amount of merchandise, and you just would, by definition, not be prosecuted. That has undermined public safety. It has really hurt these communities, and has been devastating to the rule of law. So as I saw that happening across the country earlier this year, I asked my staff in my office to look around the state of Florida and to make sure that that was not going to happen here, where you would have individual prosecutors nullify laws that were enacted by the people's representatives. They spoke with law enforcement throughout the state. They spoke with line prosecutors throughout the state, and it all came back to this area here in the 13th Judicial Circuit in Hillsborough County. And the response that we got was a lot of frustration on the part of law enforcement for criminals being let go and crimes not being prosecuted. And so we looked into it, and we compiled a lot of the record. And I can tell you it's been a very, very troubling record. So the prosecutor, state attorney for this judicial circuit, Andrew Warren, has put himself publicly above the law. In June of 2021, he signed a letter saying that he would not enforce any prohibitions on sex change operations for minors. And that's a debate that we're having mostly administratively and through medical licensing in Florida, but other states have enacted penalties on the people that would perform those, which are really disfiguring these young kids. And he said, it doesn't matter what the legislature does in the state of Florida, he's gonna exercise a veto over that. He's also instituted policies of, quote, presumptive non-enforcement. And this involves an array of different things, and you'll probably hear Sheriff Chronister and some of the other law enforcement officers talk about it, but that is not consistent with the role of a prosecutor. Yes, you can exercise discretion in an individual case, but that discretion has to be individualized and case specific. You can't just say you're not going to do certain offenses. And then most recently, after the Dobbs decision was rendered by the U.S. Supreme Court, he signed a letter saying he would not enforce any laws relating to protecting the right to life in the state of Florida. And mind you, we have had prohibition on third trimester abortions for a long time. We've had prohibitions on partial birth abortions for a long time. And then most recently, the legislature enacted and I signed protections for unborn babies at 3.5 months. And when they are aborted, it's typically done through a dismemberment procedure, which is really inhumane. Nevertheless, that is what the legislature has enacted, and it's not for him to put himself above that and say that he is not going to enforce the laws. We don't elect people in one part of the state to have veto power over what the entire state decides on these important issues. The Constitution of Florida has vested the veto power in the governor, not in individual state attorneys. And so when you flagrantly violate your oath of office, when you make yourself above the law, you have violated your duty, you have neglected your duty, and you are displaying a lack of competence to be able to perform those duties. And so today we are suspending State Attorney Andrew Warren effective immediately.
That's a hero of the union right there. That's my guy, Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis, 2024, if Trump doesn't run.